I'm Rachel at The Modern Crafter, and we're really excited to see everyone at Yarndale in September. So I'm just giving you a quick rundown on who we are and what we do. So I'm Rachel and I run the business with my sister Siobhan. Siobhan is the designer for all of our products and I'm the maker, and we focus on punch needle and also embroidery. So punch needle is a traditional craft for rug making, and it's all of these lovely colourful kits that are behind us. We focus on using sustainable materials in our kits, and we've developed our own range of British yarn, which is a super chunky wool produced in the UK by a small heritage mill. And that's some of the colours that we've got behind me. So we've got 13 colours in the range, and so the products that I'll be bringing with me to the show are some of these ones behind me, together with the wool, and also some cushion kits. So the cushions take about 5 to 6 hours to create using the punch needle technique, and here is a few examples of the ones that I will be bringing along with me. So these ones are suitable for a confident crafter and will require a little bit of sewing at the end. For complete beginners, we recommend the hoop kits, and then we also have worked with a smaller tool again, which is punch needle. And these kits come with Appleton's 100% British wool as well, so it's a tapestry yarn. So we work with 2 different sizes of punch needle tool, and I'll have both of those on our stand, and I'll be doing demonstrations. So if anyone wants to try it, please come along. But they're great for gifting, so we've got this lovely gift packaging, and so if you are thinking maybe at that point about Christmas shopping, yeah, we've got some really nice packaged boxes which are great for gifting. So we also focus on hand embroidery, and I have a few examples of what I'll be bringing with me. So we have our swallow pattern. For autumn I have our twin fox pattern, which is that one. And then for anyone who loves a bit of gardening, we have our Let It Grow greenhouse with lots of plants and a really sweet watering can. You can view all of these on our website. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone. What I'll do next is I'll give everyone a bit of a demonstration on punch needle, just so you can see the craft in action. Thanks so much, see you there. What is punch needle? So punch needle is a traditional craft for rug making. We work with 2 different sizes of punch needle tool, the one that takes our own brand of British yarn, which is super chunky, and this needle comes in our beginner hoop kits. And we also create the finer punch needle kits, which come with a small tool. This one you can punch embroidery threads and also tapestry weight yarn, and then just something slightly thicker than tapestry weight yarn. These needles are great for creating patterns with a lot more detail in them. But yes, the craft is for rug making, and you can create cushions with all over wool coverage. If you've got a lot of yarn at home, you can double up finer yarn, you can create cushions in around about 5 hours. The hoop kits are a great way to start, and they come with really high quality tools and materials. So just to explain a bit about the technique, so when you're punching with the needle, it creates a continuous loop, and it's a loop that's gripping into the fabric. So it's important to work with all the correct tools and materials to make things work properly. So you need to have the right frame with the right fabric, with the right wool, depending on the tool that you're using. Sometimes you might work from the back to create the traditional right side, which is a loop stitch. So to achieve those 2 textures together, sometimes you're working on the front, other times you're working from the back. So exactly the same technique, it's just working from the other side. So I'll give you a quick demonstration now on the technique, and I'll just work with the bigger needle. The technique for punch needle is the same with every tool. So once you have the hang of one tool, you'll be able to move on to others. So within the kits, they come with the frames which clamp the fabric taut. So you need these types of frames that have the little screw that you can get the fabric nice and taut, so those come in the kits. And with the finer tool you can punch on any embroidery hoop with those ones. The bigger needles take a little bit more of a punch to punch through. If you punch just straight on an embroidery hoop, it would just keep slipping. So how to thread the needle. The needle comes with the threader in the pack, which you thread down the needle. You create a little loop on the end of the wire. If the threaders ever go missing, you can use jewellery wire as a great substitute. So push the yarn tail through the end of the threader and then gently lift that through, so the yarn is now feeded through the needle, and the last part is just to thread the yarn through the eye of the needle. So the technique itself is like drawing with yarn. You don't have to count your stitches or fully concentrate on the pattern as such. You're just purely colouring in whatever it is that you're creating with your yarn. It is a great way, like I said, to use up a yarn stash. You can create cushions in around about 4 to 5 hours, and they look great on your couch, particularly when you create those two textures together with the flat and the loop stitch. So you punch the needle in. I'm just going to pull the yarn tail through to the back, and then from there, so we're holding it like a pencil. We control the needle on the way up, so don't let it spring out of the fabric. You want to control the needle, so we keep this side as flat as we can. So you're skimming the needle across the fabric, give it a good punch all the way down, so the handle must touch on every punch. That will then create a consistent loop. So again, control the needle on the way up. When you see the tip of the needle, skim forward, punch all the way down. So your stitch length should be around about 1 centimetre, so we're aiming for 4 stitches roughly for 1 inch. So you would outline the shape first of all and then work into the middle to fill in. So as I'm punching, what the needle is doing is creating this loop stitch, which is how this grips into the particular type of fabric that I'm working with, which is linen. So on the way back, I'm going to start to do my brickwork. So I'm going to stagger the stitch from one row to the next. So I'm aiming for halfway on the previous row's stitch. Again, punch all the way down, handle touches, lift and skim across, punch. What that will do is it will now close up the gaps between the rows, and it will create a nice fluffy texture. So, and then we would just keep going in and filling in the area. Then you would change your yarn colour depending on which part of your design you want to work on next. And yeah, that really is all there is to it. So there is a technique to get used to, but once you have it, then it's very free flowing, and you can really get into a nice creative flow, switch off, and relax. And it's a great one if you want to watch telly or listen to a bit of radio in the background, because like I say, you don't have to overly concentrate. There's no counting stitches, there's no worrying about dropping a stitch. You can really just allow your mind to switch off, get absorbed in what you're doing, and before you know it, you've created something really beautiful. So it could be a cushion, could be other practical items like a bag or a trivet or maybe a toy. Whatever you can dream up, you can pretty much punch needle it. I have created some nice plant pot holders, and created those into hanging plant pot holders. So yeah, it's such a nice craft to do. So again, show you how that looks on the back. To finish off the stitch, I'm just going to pull out a little bit of my yarn. I'm going to snip that away, and then I'll just gently pull out the needle. So this loop is now completely trapped in. You cannot pull out the loop. So this side is great when you're doing projects such as a bag, which might take an everyday wear. So this is the bag kit that we have launched, which is lined on one side. And that one, yeah, we just punched on one side. So the loops, when it's taking everyday wear, there's no chance of that coming out basically, because it's all trapped in. For wall hangings, when they're up on the wall, you can punch on both sides, it's not going to unravel. And at the end, what you would do is just snip your yarn tails down so they're hidden, but we don't use any knots, don't tie any knots or use any glue. So now I'm going to work from this side, and again I'm just going to punch the needle in. This time though, I'm just going to leave my yarn tail there because I want all the messy yarn tails on the back. So I'm just going to go straight into the technique, same as before. Punch the needle all the way down till the handle touches, lift with control and skim the needle forward. So we always want to go forward in the direction of the tip of the needle. Okay, so I'll just do a couple more rows working on this side. And again, I'm doing my brickwork, so I'm aiming for halfway on the previous row stitch, and that's important to do most of the time, but you don't need to do it. It's not, you know, something that is absolutely essential to do all of the time. It's just most of the time you want to aim for halfway, and that just, again, it helps to close up the gaps between the loop stitch and make the stitches, the wool nice and full on the loop side. So I shall turn it over, and you can see the combination now. I've got the flat stitch together with the loop stitch, which creates a really lovely texture. And to finish that off on this side, I would just press down on the end of the yarn, pull up the needle, and again use my handy yarn snips to snip that away. So yeah, the hoop kits are a really lovely way for an introduction into the crafts, and then from there, yeah, you can really let your imagination run wild in terms of what you might want to create, particularly if you've got lots of designs in mind. Any cushions, yeah, so it's pretty straightforward to get moving on to a bigger project. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Please come by and have a demonstration on our stand at Yarndale. And of course, you can try out the technique yourself. See you there. Thank you.